right, yo, what's going on, everybody? Fast break coming back at you again. This is going to be episode 10, I believe. Correct me if I'm
Double
wrong.
digits.
Episode 10, we finally made it to double digits. 10 episodes strong, and we're only going to keep getting better. Today in this episode, we ended last episode 9 talking about Nate McMillan, our top coaches really in general, but Nate McMillan was maybe the final topic we were talking about because he was near the top of both of our lists. And I was thinking about this. I guess we've been wanting to talk about the Atlanta Hawks a little bit. Obviously, they had kind of a Cinderella story, Eastern Conference Finals run against the Milwaukee Bucks. Took it to 6, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. They had a great run. So I guess what the prompt is for this one is, how do they need to improve? They had a great season last year. They hired McMillan, a lot of great things. Very surprising season, probably the most surprising season on any team. So how do they improve? How do they get better from here?
So the big thing was for the Hawks going in the offseason to keep their guys, and they did that. Clint Capella obviously got an extension. Trey got an extension, and John Collins got an extension. So the core is going to be together for a while. They retained Nate McMillan. Pretty much everything's going right. And the starters, I think, are pretty good. But the bench, I do think there are some tweaks that they can make. I think more defense on the bench. And maybe even a big man, even though I do like Onyeka Okongwu, who played pretty well in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I feel like the defense on the bench is big. Cam Reddish coming back. He wasn't healthy. Same with DeAndre Hunter. Chris Dunn and Rondo, who I guess were kind of be the backup point guards, they left. Rondo didn't really stay for that long. And Chris Dunn just got traded to the Celtics now as in the Timberwolves. So maybe a defensive-minded backup point guard is something I think they could use.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and yeah, you just touched on that, Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. So they were kind of bleak at forward. They did have Gallo and Bogey.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, because I think what I was thinking more in the direction towards trading, as you just mentioned as well. But I think that they kind of need to expand upon one of Cam Reddish or DeAndre Hunter. And I'll kind of explain just really quickly. I mean, we saw the success they had without both those guys. Cam Reddish did play the first series against New York. He played incredibly well. From what I remember, shot the ball very well. And both of these guys are two, really good two-way wings. But they've both been hurt a great deal last year in Atlanta. And I'm feeling like, I don't know, if it's up to me personally, I'm moving Reddish personally, even though he had a great postseason. I mean, the main reason is mostly just because Hunter's miles above Cam Reddish in offensive efficiency. Obviously, you're a rookie. You're not going to have a really efficient rookie year. Hunter progressed. Cam Reddish got worse, if anything, in my opinion. They're both great defensively, but I think that if you're looking to get better, you need to expand upon one of those guys' value. And right now, I think Cam Reddish, he could be a good role player, but I'm not willing to roll the dice if I'm Travis Schlenk, who I believe is still Atlanta's GM. I don't know why I know that, but I'm not willing to roll the dice on Cam Reddish if I'm Travis. He needs to be gone.
Yeah, I agree. Cam and DeAndre very similar. They both came out at a similar time, but I do think DeAndre Hunter has more potential. Defensively, I know they're both great. I would say Hunter's a little better. I like his versatility a lot more. Bigger frame, I believe, maybe wider. And DeAndre Hunter, I feel like going back to country, I feel like he knows his role a little bit better. He knows that he's not the guy.
Yeah.
Trey's there. He's going to play off of Trey. Cam Reddish, even in college with Zion and RJ, he took a lot of shots. He wasn't very efficient. And it's not a knock against Cam Reddish. I mean, obviously, he can go somewhere else, a rebuilding team, and he could get buckets. But I just feel like in Atlanta, they need someone that knows their role, and they can move Cam and get a good amount from him.
Yeah. I mean, I think we both touched on the inefficiency from Cam Reddish. Hunter looked superb last year. I love watching DeAndre Hunter in the regular season. He was great. So I guess moving on to what they need, you mentioned this before. You said backup point guard. They have Lou Williams, but defense is always a plus. What I was thinking more is a guy along the lines of like Klay Thompson. Obviously, that's kind of a unrealistic addition there, but maybe a guy like CJ McCollum, who has kind of had his name in the mix. I know the Blazers said they wouldn't trade him, but my reasoning for this is that, like, the consensus about ball dominant pick and roll point guards like Damian Lillard, Trae Young, obviously, is that they need great people around them. And he, Trae Young has shown pure wizardry as a pick and roll guard. He does a lot as a scorer, but he also does a lot as a playmaker. We saw he generated a ton of points off screens. So I think you have two guys like Klay or CJ. Obviously, I'm kind of leaving Klay out of the picture a guy like Clay or CJ, who, don't really create many shots on their own. They're not really off dribble. They're more catch and shoot. I guess really just, stay in the corner, stay on the wing. They need other players to create for them. Trae Young needs an elite pairing alongside him, someone who he can create for, who he knows is going to be hitting, 40% or more of those 3-point shots that he creates from. So I'm thinking a guy like that. But again, bench depth is always a big thing. Anything else that they really need to add on to?
No, I think we touched on everything. CJ McCollum, though, here's my thing. If the Blazers do trade Dame, I think CJ wouldn't be far behind. I think if they trade Dame, they would just try to go full rebuild, get all the pieces. Cam Reddish would probably be in the deal, along with some other picks, maybe some young guys. So if Dame gets traded, I could see CJ going to a team like the Hawks and pairing with Trae Young, which would be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I really think that bottom line, the Hawks need some guys who can rely on Trae Young to be their benefactor. And I mean, we saw Trae Young, man, in the playoffs, like him or not. I mean, again, he struggled with inefficiency too, but absolute stud, man. He played very, very well. And I think that you need to surround him with great talent in order, if you want to be great. That's my beliefs. So we touched on that. I think made some pretty good points. Guy like CJ, some good bench depth. What are we moving on to next? We had 2 more topics I believe we want to talk about tonight.
Yeah, 2 more topics. And football, again, it's less than a week away. We did a list in episode 9. We received some slander, mostly from Ravens fans for putting them that low. We don't take it back. We're staying with it.
Yeah.
But we're going top 5 quarterbacks. Quarterback is the most important position. If you have a bad quarterback, your team's probably not great. So who are the best 5 quarterbacks in the league? How are we going to do this first? How are we going to do this? Are we going to read it off one by one?
I liked when we went down our list, just like okay. I go through. How about you start yours off? I want to hear yours first.
Okay, honorable mention. I have Josh Allen, and Josh Allen probably is on your list. I saw the face. Josh Allen, he had a really good year last year. Consistency is something that I worry about. He hasn't really been in the league that long. Ball accuracy at times is not great. Number 5, Ravens fans, if you think he's any higher, then you're just out of your mind. I have Lamar Jackson at number 5. Lamar Jackson, when we said it's progression, he's not going to get any better. That's not a knock. He's already amazing. He's the 5th best quarterback in the league. Dual threat, we know this. He's underrated as a passer, in my opinion. Yes, it's not a strong suit, but he could still throw the ball. It's not like he has a noodle for an arm. Yeah, the Ravens are going to be good with him if they lock him up, which they should. Number 4, Deshaun Watson. Now, this is strictly Deshaun Watson as a football player. We don't mess with Deshaun Watson outside of the football field. But when he's on the football field, he's a really good quarterback. He has a really good arm, big size, can throw, can run. The team around him isn't great, so it makes him look worse. But I think if you put him on a good team, he would be really good. Number 3, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's been doing this thing for years, for almost a decade now. Just behind the line of scrimmage, he's just a magician. He has Tyler Lockett and DK, who obviously make him look really good. But Russ, he's been doing it. He's going to keep doing it. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he may be a diva, but he won the MVP last year. He throws for touchdowns. Devontae Adams, again, makes him look good. A lot of these guys have really good receivers. But Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's been doing it forever. I don't see him slowing down. Just really a smart quarterback. And then number 1, the face of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. That should be no debate. But Patrick Mahomes is sick. He's going to be making close to $1 billion over the next 10 years. And if there's anyone that deserves it, it's him, because he is absolutely phenomenal. I can't even describe how good he is. He does everything.
Pure generational talent.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no surprise. He's everybody's number 1. He's my number 1. Kind of spoiler alert. Don't really know why I said that, but I mean, come on, man. Who doesn't have him number 1?
Yeah.
All right. So number 5 for me, I have Russell Wilson. I kind of was basing this partially on last year. I watched him a couple of times last year. Definitely the O-line sold him. A quarterback's only as good as the team around him in most cases. He did well. I mean, he was looking MVP caliber early on, and then kind of just, the game against the Giants, when that was fun to watch for me as a Giants fan. But outside of that, he kind of just looked like he was slowing down a little bit, and he's getting up there for sure. But absolutely some talent, great mobility, good passer, great team around him in terms of his wide receiver corps. But the line, they're going to need to work on that if they want to protect him.
Yeah.
Number 4, I believe we had him in the same spot, Deshaun Watson. I mean, you kind of said everything about him. bad situation around him on and off the field. But this is if he returns next year. I don't know if he's going
I
to.
don't know what he's gonna do.
I mean, he might be all wound up in legal stuff, but I mean, I guess whatever happens. Obviously, yeah, he's a great player, great passer, pretty much a great all-around guy who you want on your team as a quarterback. I mean, pretty much self-explanatory. Number 3, I had Josh Allen. I know that you had him as an honorable mention, which means that, I mean, clearly I'm omitting somebody who you had in yours, but
and we're gonna talk about him later.
Yeah. But Josh Allen, I mean, look, the arm strength is unparalleled, probably has the strongest arm in the league, unless I'm forgetting somebody prominent. But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, great player. Outside, I mean, and the crazy thing is he has a lot of good route runners. Stephon Diggs, great receiver, but I see him as more of a route runner. And he kind of struggles in the short game, but he makes it work. I feel like Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs have made him stronger. And I feel like he's actually become, kind of a decent, short game. Decent in the short game, rather. I like him a lot. He's a natural leader, great for that team, great build, great athleticism. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, yeah, look, MVP. How many touchdowns did he throw for last year? Over 50?
Over 50.
Over 50.
Over 100. Over 50.
He's still doing it. He's up there in age. I feel like, I mean, he's definitely one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I hear people even say a lot of times that he's more talented than Tom Brady is, which might be true. I mean, Brady has really the accuracy, but Rodgers, I feel like, has a better presence in the pocket at times. He's been loyal to the soil in Green Bay for, I mean, however many years he's been in the league. Great guy. Again, kind of a diva, like you said, but strictly football here. And of course, number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Really, even after the Super Bowl, even though they lost, that was the last game of football that I watched, this past season. And I mean, dude was just an absolute genius, man. The way he was throwing some of those passes, I don't know how he got those off. Great under pressure, great in every aspect of the game. Patrick Mahomes, man. I mean, you don't need to say anymore. You could just say Patrick Mahomes and everybody knows what you're talking about. That's my top 5. And yes, I did leave out Lamar. He's like 7 for me. I don't know. I don't have him top 5. I don't think that he is top 5 quarterback. I don't think he's better than any of those guys I just named.
I'm gonna preface this. So a lot of our views come from the Baltimore area, the Maryland area. That's where we're from.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Lamar Jackson around? Like, if you give like a general, like, is he around Justin Herbert or Kyler, or who's he comparable to? So these people can comprehend what you just said.
What I think? Well, I think he's probably around like Kyler. So I think he's around like 7. And I think that Justin Herbert's going to be better than him. I don't think I feel like, if you've seen Justin Herbert, if you've like watched him play and stuff, like, how good that kid is. Like, and especially he was playing with an unhealthy team last year. So he's going to be something special this year, in my opinion. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Barring any injury, I think Herbert, knock on wood. I think Herbert's going to be, I think he's going to clear Lamar. Outside of that, I mean, outside of 5, I mean, what other quarterbacks are we putting?
Tannehill, Dak, or he's better than them?
Dak, I don't think, as big of a Dak hater as I am, I don't think Lamar's better than Dak. Obviously, Dak was putting up historical stuff.
Well, no, he is. Not for you. Excuse me. That would have been crazy.
What do you mean?
No, I said he's not better than Lamar, but I was saying that for you, not for me.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to put Lamar among like the Kyler Murrays, and Lamar's still young. I mean, I'm not trying to treat him like he doesn't have room to grow. Personally, I think he's kind of reached, the area where like I'm not saying people have figured him out, because I know that ticks off a lot of fans, but like, it's not predictable. I don't know what the word is, but he's going to start to slow down. I mean, you can't.
You can game plan for him a little bit more easily.
You can't tell me that defensive coordinators aren't, watching film on him, trying to find. There's great minds out there in the NFL. You can't tell me that he's going to, keep being able to get off these 30-plus, 30-plus yard runs. It's just not going to happen, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson not being top 5, it is what it is. Personally.
And there's actually one more guy I wanted to talk about before we move on to our third topic. This might be a little bit of a shorter episode. We shall see. Tom Brady, the GOAT of the NFL, the best player ever by most people. He's not on either of our lists. We can both just tackle this, both of us. Why?
I mean, I think short and simple, the 5 guys that I named are just more talented than
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And I mean, think Tom Brady had a great team
Yeah.
around him. Like probably, I mean, talent-wise, probably I might go as far as say the best team, talent, just purely off skill, the best team he's ever played with. I mean, think about the
He had Antonio
receivers.
Brown as his third receiver. Antonio Brown was his third receiver.
That's insane. Like you can't
Yeah.
make that stuff up. The line, amazing. They lucked out on Tristan Wirfs, who I
Yeah.
wanted so badly. One of the best right tackles in the game for
Mhm.
sure. One of the best tackles, just period. He's been amazing for them. The defense, obviously,
Winfield.
amazing.
Yeah.
Right. They had a lot. Yeah. Winfield too. I mean, he was also a rookie. Correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Second rounder.
Right. So they knew what they were doing. Tampa
Mhm.
Bay made money moves, but Tom Brady, he definitely was slowing down. I mean, he didn't look like they did not look like a Super Bowl team. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Tom
Very
Brady,
receiving.
however, I think his postseason, the way his game translated to the postseason, I think that's very commendable. Borderline top 5, probably. I put him above Lamar still, personally. This past season for sure. I think Brady kind of cleared him, at least this past season. But yeah, I mean, Tom Brady, that's a tough one to place. That really is.
Okay.
What you have thoughts you're holding back? I want to hear.
I don't have thoughts I'm holding back, and I do like Tom. He's not top 5 for me, but he's just ridiculous. That's really all I have to say. And the last person we're going to talk about is someone that's not Tom Brady. He'll never be the GOAT of the sport, and we love to slander this guy here at Fast Break. Who is that, Luca?
Slander who?
Who's our third topic? Who do we love to slander? He plays
Oh,
basketball.
we're moving on. Ben
Okay.
Simmons.
Simmons.
I didn't know we were moving on. My mistake. Yes, Ben Simmons. We're talking. I mean, because he's been in the news, but there hasn't been a ton of like substance as to like what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, I'm first of all, let's give a quick rundown of the situation. So I believe during episode 5, it was our draft. We were hoping maybe he would get traded in the draft and we'd have some good contact. That clearly has not happened. Why hasn't it happened, and what is going on in Philly?
I mean, I think really simply, and I've talked to a couple Philly fans about this and stuff. I mean, really just simply, Daryl Morey is completely overestimating the value of a guy like Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Now, let me just make something clear real quick. We do not like Ben Simmons. We think that, he is not a great player. However, whatever your opinions are, you have to understand that to other teams, in other teams' view, Ben Simmons had a bad postseason, no sugarcoating it. There's 1,000 things that he did that he could have done better. And for that reason, his value has significantly decreased. So when you go out and you're asking, if you're Daryl Morey and you're asking the Warriors, we saw this trade, we talked about it a couple of episodes ago, for James Wiseman, Wiggins, and 4 firsts, not going to happen. The Warriors hung up the phone. No more negotiations. They're cutting ties with teams accidentally, it seems like. So I think it's Morey. I think Morey's the problem.
Yeah, Morey's the problem, and recency bias is a thing. And you're right. The last game we saw Ben Simmons play, he passed up open layup for a dunk. That's what's in the GM's mind, not the all-star, a guy that was an all-star for the past couple seasons. It's a guy that is scared. He's lost all of his confidence. Him and Embiid, there's been some reports that him and Embiid's cut off ties with Embiid. Rich Paul wants Maxey out of Philly. It's just Philly's just really screwed it up in a season that they were the number 1 seed. They seem to fail again. And I'm not sad to see it as a Celtics fan, I'm being honest.
I mean, I'm not sad to see it either. I just think that, I mean, really, I think it's safe to assume that he won't be in Philly. Yes. But, I mean, he doesn't want to be in Philly. So I don't really know what Daryl Morey's trying to do. The time for him for Simmons to have been traded is way overdue. And the crazy part about this, they could have got James Harden for him. I remember Daryl Morey did not want to part with Ben Simmons. That is biting him in the butt. I mean, Daryl Morey, if you ask me, should be on the hot seat, like very badly. He needs to pull off a successful trade. And that brings me to my next question I want to ask you. I mean, at this point, they've cut off ties with pretty much, I mean, it seems the Warriors, obviously, the Timberwolves, maybe even the Kings. So 3 teams that, he wanted to go to. 2 of those teams in California, he said he wanted to play on the coast. They're gone. Where does he even go at this point?
Well,
where could he go?
We can assume the California thing. The Lakers and the Clippers, the offers just aren't going to be there. So if the Kings and the Warriors cut off ties, which they probably should, and I think they have, he's not going to be playing in California. The Cavs, I mean, like, is that really where we've gotten to, like a Sexton Garland trade? Which, in my opinion, would be a big win for the Sixers. But if they're asking for Wiseman, a bunch of picks, and Andrew Wiggins, then what makes you think they're going to value him as Darius Garland? They're
Right.
thinking way too highly of him. Indiana, maybe. The Sixers are being incompetent right now. They need to realize what this guy is and maximize his value.
I
That's
agree.
exactly what they need to do.
And I like the Cleveland one. I hadn't even really thought of that. I mean, keep in mind, Cleveland was a team who, like, early on in the season was seeing great success from their defense before things sort of started to fall apart. A team that I was really thinking of, though, and I mean, really, it's hard to find a good scenario. But I was thinking maybe Portland, still on the coast, because I know you have to consider where Ben Simmons wants to go.
Yeah.
Maybe for CJ at this point, you're not getting Dame. Can we, like, let's just be
dude,
honest?
No, just shut.
Yeah, the Sixers fans, like, we'll both tell you, you're not getting Damian Lillard, you know, so it's not happening. CJ McCollum, though, maybe a good option, even though they said that they didn't want to, that the Trailblazers didn't want to trade him. I mean, I don't know, where else would he even go, though?
Spurs. We've talked about this a bunch of times. DeJounte Murray. I mean, we've had Yusuf. Rest in peace, Yusuf. He didn't want DeJounte Murray. He said it was a bad trade. That's what you should be aiming for right now. You need a guy like DeJounte Murray with Ben Simmons. Put it this way. Ben Simmons is a project. We can all face that. He's a work in progress. If he ever gets to what he once was or wants to be, a contender's not going to want him. A contender that's solidified in the playoffs, in the finals, they're not going to want Ben Simmons to screw everything up. It's going to be a rebuilding team or team lurking outside the playoffs trying to get in, willing to take a chance on Simmons. So that narrows it down there. I think the Spurs, the Cavs, the Pacers, and the Blazers are all teams that make sense. And those are the four.
Yeah. And I mean, real quick, I mean, we can wrap this up, but I just want to say, I mean, if you're aiming for CJ as the best possible value you can get out of Ben Simmons, that's not even really that great, in my opinion. I'm not a big CJ McCollum fan. If you're a Philly fan, you shouldn't want that either, because you want really a guy who can be a 1-2 punch for them beat out of this trade or have that potential. At least CJ can't create on his own. He needs another guy. We've seen this. He needs a guy like Damian Lillard to really help him, produce offense. He can't be your primary source of scoring here. I mean, really not a good defender, not good in closeout games. We saw this in the Denver series.
Yes.
Like, if you're aiming for CJ McCollum, I don't even know if that's a W. So I think, I think even after this, we really haven't even come to a solid conclusion. I don't think Portland's the right place. Maybe Cleveland. Maybe we'll go with Cleveland here. I think Cleveland could be
Garland or Sexton, one of the two.
If Daryl Morey ever gets off his high horse, we'll see.
High horse. Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about? Maybe can we check the time on this? I don't believe so. It may have been a shorter episode.
Yeah. Well, you know what, real quick we can talk about. Okay. Maybe, I mean, we are both Celtics fans, so this one may be a little bit more biased, but it's coming from fans, so it should be more genuine. A recent trade, it was kind of weird. It kind of,
You texted me in math class, and you said Juancho ? I'm like, Juancho?
I texted Vinny, and I said Juancho ? Because the Celtics traded away Chris Dunn, Carson Edwards, and I believe a second-round pick of like 2026 for Juancho Hernangomez. I don't know why. It was a weird move. I think low-key, unless it has something to do with salary filler, I have no idea what Juancho or Chris Dunn's looking like in terms of contract.
Are we covering the Juancho trade on fast break? Is that what we're doing now? Is that how big we are in content? No, kidding.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Carson Edwards, he really just put it this way. Let's not focus on the trade and let's focus on the Celtics. Yes, this may be biased. We're Celtics fans. We're not going to deny it. But are the Celtics becoming underrated?
Yeah, I think they are a little bit, because think about all the assets they've got. I mean, Josh Richardson, they have some good guard depth now. I think losing Chris Dunn's a little bit of an L here.
It is an L. We've agreed.
But I mean, they have a guy like Marcus Smart. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but hypothetically, theoretically, he could be a combo guard. He was playing point guard last year. Obviously Pritchard, who I think should be starting. You have a lot of great talent here, and people do not realize, one, how good Jaylen Brown is, and two, how good Jason Tatum is. I can't remember. They were definitely top 3 in duo points per game. They were killing it last year. The thing that I think held them back was, we led the league in COVID-related illnesses and also injuries. So, I mean, combination of those two things. Yeah. So, yeah, they're on my radar to watch, I think, for sure. Obviously.
I have more things to touch on. I'm just going to keep going. The bench is something as Celtics fans we've seen Grant Williams come into games like, oh my God, it's time for the bench to come in. We're going to blow the lead. The bench is something now that it's a decent bench. We got Richardson, we got Al, we got Pritchard, who's probably going to come off the bench whether we like it or not. Neesmith, Romeo, Josh Richardson. I don't know if he'll start or not, but the bench pieces are there for us to be decent off the bench, which is something we really haven't had in a while. And Jaylen Brown is better than Devin Booker. We're both of us. We're firm on that. Roast us. We don't care. We can back it up.
Yeah, for sure. And before we'll end on this note, I have a question to ask you. When you're a fan of a team, you really have a microscope on certain guys. Has it gotten to the point where not just the Celtics are underrated, but more so like the players are underrated? Because obviously Jaylen Brown, he was an all-star. People still don't give him his respect. He was probably one of the best second options in the league. Top 3, in my opinion. I can't really think of other guys' names, but I would say top 3. Robert Williams, I believe, second most blocks in playoff history. Dude's a beast defensively and on the offensive end. He's great. Is it players like this who really are making the Celtics underrated, who like the media and like a lot of people, like a lot of fans don't pay attention to?
Yeah, the Celtics, I wouldn't really say, like, obviously we have tied the most favoritism in history. It's not like we're playing in an LA though, but we are the Celtics. We do get a microscope put under us. So any down years we have or down periods like last year, they're going to be assessed harshly. And that's what it was. Yes, we were injured. There's no denying that. We were. Did we play the best we could? No, we didn't. We had a bad year. But yes, Jaylen is super underrated. Rob, no one talks about Rob. This guy has blocked more shots than he's missed shots. More shots than he's missed in his career. How crazy is that to think about? The Celtics have become underrated. They'll be a comfortable playoff team next year, and they could make some noise, barring that Ime Udoka gets the players right and gets on their high horse, which I think they will more than Brad Stevens.
4 seed. I think that's a good
I'm going
spot
5. I'm going to go 5.
4-5 spot. It's switchable. I think either way they have a good shot, and that is how we're going to end today's podcast. It was a good episode. Expect a collab soon. We're working on it. It should be coming very, very soon. Should hopefully. We're excited for it, and I think we're almost at 60 subscribers. We're doing pretty well for ourselves.
We're on 58.
58. Guys, tell
Get
2 people.
60.
We need 2 people. Get us to 60. Anything else to say?
No, thank you guys, and we're out.
Peace.